What is up, my loves? It's your girl Diamond, and I'm back with my own review of Love and Marriage Huntsville. So we start off with the Scotts. They are walking down the street. They're going down memory lane. They head to this dessert place that they like to go to when they were growing up. It will be a treat for them to reward themselves for completing a project. And their father was supposed to be coming by, but Kimmy is already ready to save them by letting them know that they had a conversation with their father and wondered if they had told their father how they felt when they were being raised by him. Like, have you told your father about how you felt about growing up with him? And did you let him know about the experiences you guys have had? You know, she really wants to find a way to have that type of resolve in their relationship, so that way it can spread out into her relationship and her marriage, because she wants to be the savior. She wants to fix things. She wants to be that emotional connect for them to tell their father how they felt when they were being raised by him. Now, Marsau ended up saying that all the times that their father wasn't there and they really didn't know him, and it gave him grace because he was a man that was 26 years old with 8 children. So he already had it in his mind that his father was focusing on providing and didn't think of quality time. And he says the best times to be around your kid is when they're little, and when they get older, they're not going to think back and try to figure out a relationship with their father. They're going to focus on having a relationship with their children. It's interesting, Marsau. But you have to recognize on how you have raised your children is a reflection of how you haven't had that with your father. Your father was gone. He wasn't around as much. And you want to prove to him that you could be more available and present with your children. But you and Maurice have shown y'all aren't as present with your children. I mean, Marsau pretty much is at that point where he recognized why his dad wasn't there and he's cool with it. You know what I'm saying? But it is interesting to me that you guys have put your father on a pedestal. Like he was this greatest man on earth. He was Superman. And if you look back on it, he really wasn't around as much. And he now has regrets that he wished he would have been around as much. He wished he didn't make those mistakes that have been gone for so long. And, you know, Kimmy is always quick to talk about how men never express their emotions well. And, you know, you guys should tell your father that you're proud of him. You should have him hear your expression that while he didn't do much, he did do enough. You know what I'm saying? Now, Kimmy and Tisha probably recognized that their father felt some type of way about how y'all was praising Uncle Rick more than their father. And then they were like, well, we're here to see Uncle Rick. We're not here to see our father. We were here to make sure that we put all that honor on Uncle Rick, because he was the one that did everything for us. He was the one that put us in this position. But Marsau realizes, okay, knowing that our father feels some type of way about how we put all the attention on Uncle Rick instead of him, maybe we should make sure that our father knows how much we care about him, how much we love him, and that we appreciate him. I ain't gonna hold that. That was kind of cool. I ain't got nothing against that. But Maurice also said that he don't regret how he was raised. I bet you don't, because you're not gonna change anything. And I feel like you don't want to be honest that there are some things that your father did that you wish he wouldn't have done. Marsau is pretty much admitting that he wished he didn't get whooped as much. But let's look at the dynamics between Marsau and Maurice. Marsau has said, I feel like in the first part of the season or last season, that Maurice was the golden child. Everything was handed to him. Everything was done for him. He didn't have to do as much as the rest of the siblings. So for you to not want nothing changed in your childhood, that lets me know you don't want to give your father the actual conversation of that there were things that I wish you would have done better. Marsau is willing to have that because he's not going to sugarcoat it. But y'all are still trying to come up with ways of still sugarcoating how you guys were raised and how you guys have dealt with a lot of trauma growing up. It reflects on how we see y'all on the screen. But I see what y'all doing. But moving on. We got Trish and Ken. I said it before. I'm going to say it again. I'm done with Trish and Ken. I want them off my screen. I don't want them here. They don't bring anything. You know what I'm saying? Their relationship is all confusing. It's like, are y'all just staying together for the sake of the show? Like, y'all are just like, ugh. So he's working on a truck that he wants to fix. Then they talk about the heated therapy session. Apparently, since that, Ken's back at the house. Something tells me they are avoiding the legalities of the conversation that Ken isn't allowed to be at the house overnight, but he wants to film during the day. Okay. Then they have a brief discussion about how the therapy session went. So while they're having a brief conversation about how the therapy session went, they literally are not holding themselves accountable that it went left when it came to the children. That they didn't think that the children should have been brought up. Why shouldn't they be brought up? You guys are arguing. You guys are having bad moments in front of the kids. Why wouldn't that be something to talk about? That should be something you should recognize. The way you guys have argued, the way you guys have brought to this relationship is been toxic. It's been very all over the place. Like, y'all shouldn't be putting y'all kids through this. Or Tisha shouldn't be putting her kids through this. Like, this isn't necessary. So they were having a brief discussion about how the therapy session went, but then they don't want to admit that the reason why they've had bad arguments has also affected the children. They said that did not need to be brought up. It did need to be brought up. Because how is it that you guys aren't recognizing that your arguments have affected the kids? This isn't the first time that has been said. Okay. So Trish is recognizing that she knows that when she doesn't express her emotions, they get the best of her. She's apologizing to him, which isn't like her. And they just need to work on figuring the whole situation out. Then Trish ended up telling Ken about her conversation with Tisha, saying that somebody approached Tisha, telling her that you need to tell Ken that Ken has been creeping up in my DMs. Let me look at that for a second. I think Tisha did say that somebody came up to her by saying Ken be in my DMs, but I don't think that Tisha related by letting it look like a warning, by making sure Trish knows that Ken needs to be out of my DMs. I don't think it was something like that. So what was misunderstood here? And then Ken looks already annoyed about that being brought up, but then he ended up admitting that he has sent a few DMs. It was around the time they weren't talking, they weren't living together, and she would go days without talking to him, checking in on him. It made it seem as if she did not care. She probably don't, Ken. So since it felt like you didn't give a damn about me, what am I supposed to do? Just sit here? So he wanted to get some attention, and he went and searched for somebody that would give him some attention. So he sent some DMs. Now, she says she don't like it when they get in that type of space and wondered if it's okay for him to respond because there has been a cycle of that. She said, what do we talk about by not responding? That's what you want to add to that? So how did he get in your DMs? He reached out, you responded. Look at where y'all at. But then he said that the DMs never got past a messenger. Like, it never went nowhere. It never was a setup for anything. He's really laying it on thick about how I'm not going to do that when I want to be with someone that I want to marry later on. And now Trish is the only woman that he wants to move forward in that type of commitment with. But something is telling me that Trish is looking for a way out of this relationship. Honestly, because I don't think she cares that Ken has been responding to other women's DMs. So I think she gets some herself. Or she is thirst trapping somebody else. Like, I don't, Trish was not emotional at all. Or like needing anything of an explanation from Ken about this moment. Because at the end of the day, it happened when y'all weren't together. And then he said he misses their daily interactions. It got real lonely at the apartment. Trish says it's weird that they do back and forth because it confuses the house. No, it's not confusing the house. And don't try to play it off as if this is something that's unnatural for y'all, because your whole arrangement is weird, Trish. You got involved with this man when you haven't been completely divorced from your husband. And when he was brought into your life, you threw him in with your children. Your children started to like him. He formed a bond with him. He started to show up without being prompted, of being there as a father figure in a way. And I think that y'all just had a very quick process that y'all really didn't know what y'all wanted out of one another. I don't think you guys are ready for this kind of commitment. If it's easy for Ken to have some time to himself and be single and thirst trap females, then y'all not ready to be monogamous then. And he just don't like that it's messy of Tisha to be telling her anything like that, and of her out of all people to be telling something like this, which is very interesting because we see how her husband has been topic of all kind of conversation. So I need to have a conversation with him. So we are back in Pontiac. And the fellas are preparing for their uncle's ceremony, but before they do that, they want to talk to their father. They can see that his energy has changed and is wondering, does he feel some type of way about how all the attention is going to Uncle Rick and not him? Like, he feels like y'all view Uncle Rick as more of a father than I am. Well, if we want to be honest, Daddy Scott, you haven't been a father to them. You were always gone. Even when you went to prison, you still was not around. And they don't have fond memories of you while they're trying to plead to your ego, plead to the times that you were there, that you did guide us, but they don't have any actual like happy memories of you. And excuse me, they want to pretty much not have him feel that guilt that he didn't do anything right, that he didn't raise them, and how they want him to know he did a great job. And he pretty much feels a way that they want to follow Uncle Rick's path in construction. His path for them was plumbing and HVAC because he had his own vision for them. But then when he took a step back and watched what they have created, he's happy that their careers have led to them. He's happy that their careers have led to this. And so while they're giving their father his flowers that he should hear, and how he appreciates the way that they were raised, they don't take away how they were raised. And Marsau pretty much gave him the grace that he did what he could by being a 26-year-old man with 8 children. No, I'm not giving him the grace that because he was a 26-year-old man with 8 kids, that's still his responsibility to know he was the one who created all those children he couldn't afford to raise, he couldn't afford to feed. And then at the same point in time, Marsau is adding on to that same pressure of how it feels of Tisha to have 3 children that he is doing his damnedest to help raise. Marsau, you are always separating yourself from not claiming your children with Tisha. Do I believe that you have a great relationship with your children? We're seeing that. You've shown us scenes of that recently. But you gotta stop trolling, dude. You gotta grow up. You can't keep on saying that those are my kids. Those are Tisha's children. I'm just here to raise them. It's going to read off as if you really didn't care or you really wasn't happy that you had kids with Tisha. No doubt you're happy your kids are here, but it's not like you're happy that you had them with Tisha. Like you're doing her a favor by being there for her. That's how it reads off to other people. And you've already made that kind of comment and statement before, but grow up, sir. Stop trolling. Stop making those comments. Just deal with it and be that family man you want to be. So they gave Uncle Rick his flowers for creating a school to create opportunities for people, to create a career and bring people together. And their father talked about how Maurice would get on his nerve and he'll always do something. So because it didn't have that kind of stability that gave him any structure, that's when Uncle Rick came in and gave them something to look forward to. Gave them the tools on how to use their hands to create something beautiful, and how they also have women in their lives that are guiding them to that are giving them the family that they want. And that's what Daddy Scott wants them to have women in their lives to be there for them, hold them accountable, and make them present with their family, which is a very nice and sweet moment. I'm not going to hold y'all. And I appreciate this scene. It gives us more into how Maurice and Marsau were raised, as well as how they are kind of battling with being honest with themselves about how they were raised and how they want to be different than what their father did. So, Martell needs a scene because nobody is thinking of him. So he is meeting up with Will and Ken at Will's barbershop. And when he walked in, he did not know that this is what he was expecting out of a barbershop. You know, there was dark elements and skulls and a bar and a pool table and a stripper pole, but one barber chair. Martell said, I would not bring my son here. I would not be coming here as well. And it don't look like it's a cool place to hang out. It looks like a private lounge, like a gentleman's lounge, a gentleman's club. Will even said that they have members. You guys have special VIP packages, if you know what I mean. So Ken tells him that everything is good between him and Trish. He is back and forth between his apartment and the house. Trish does not go by the apartment. He likes to have a place to go to for some peace, where he can have some thoughts to himself. Trish says she don't like the separation. She thinks it causes confusion. or frustration. But to be honest, I feel like y'all should have had this arrangement from the beginning. Y'all should not have jumped to a commitment so quickly. Y'all should have been living separately in order for y'all to really learn one another and really learn how to really like and respect one another. But again, this is still in that same element that they don't want to talk about how Ken is not allowed to spend the night at the house because of the divorce decree. Trish ended up getting divorced around this time, and that was one of Marquez's requests, that Ken is not allowed to live at the house. So Ken tells the guys that Tisha told Trish about him being in somebody's DMs. Here go Martell, acting so crazy, acting so shocked about. Wait, you talking Marsau, Tisha? Oh man, are you for real? So he's already ready to say how Tisha's being messy once again, getting into other people's business. But trust me, there's a whole lot of other things going on about your husband that you should be focused on. Martell, you kind of gave us a little something about what you know about Marsau and Maurice, but it wasn't enough. Either say something or shut the fuck up. Okay? So as far as like what the DMs was, he don't know who she was talking about. If you could pinpoint by telling me by name, I can tell you who it is. You can? Sure. And he did admit that he has been in women's DMs. And it was during a time where him and Trish were not in a good place. And there's also no telling what she was doing while he was doing him. And how he don't know what she's been doing. Nobody has come and told her. Nobody has come and told him about what she's been doing. But then apparently he had heard from somebody that she was out seen with another muscle guy at a bar. I was like, what the fuck? How is it that you gonna say nobody has told you, but somebody told you? Like, Ken, get the hell in my face. Like, at this point, both of them are not to be trusted in regards to the situation. All right, y'all need to be single anyway. That's all I got. Y'all need to be single anyway, because y'all are not to be trusted. Y'all know how to navigate being in a monogamous situation, because both y'all are looking for the exit. I ain't got time. And Will clocked you that you trying to say it was of mutual interest when you were DMing another woman. No, it wasn't. It was you thirst trapping. It was you wanting attention. You want to see if somebody was with it. Like, fuck out of here with that shit, Ken. I ain't got time. Moving on. We're back in Pontiac. Destiny is headed to the bar to catch up with the Scotts. She's happy that they're here and that they develop a great relationship. I don't think it's real. I think they enjoy Destiny. Do I think that they trust her? No. So she's just reflecting on the experience she's had with having all of her siblings in one room. There's still one more left she needs to meet. And she's very happy that her siblings have met her, because they haven't had that type of family feeling with the family they were adopted in. And they want to create a relationship with her. They want to call her, let her know what's going on. Her grandmother's happy to have all of her kids in one place. And meeting her mother was something that she knew was going to happen, something she's used to, but she is very happy. So she's telling them about meeting her mom wasn't something she was new to. You know how she was telling her mom, I love you no matter what. Her mom hit her back with, you have a funny way of showing it. So she is looking through her mother's eyes, and she can see things about herself. Destiny says that her mother has masked her pain to not feel. And Destiny has carried that same trait of masking her pain and not really being honest and not really talking about how she feels. So through going through grief, going through therapy, you're able to talk about how you're feeling, and you got to talk through your pain, and how she needs to operate in different settings about being comfortable with talking about how she feels. So Maurice was wondering, is that why she's so feisty? And she said, no. But then Marcel said, no, I think it was aggressive. She said, no, it's not that it is assertive. And we have recognized that Destiny has come with that rah-rah energy from the beginning. But that was because she really didn't know how to put her guard down and trust, because she has been led with this betrayal with the first person that she thought would have never hurt her, which is her mother. And then Marsau was also saying how there were times where Destiny wasn't transparent, which is the truth, and how when it comes to being honest and transparent, you're not always honest. There's some things you're not ready to talk about, so you go the alternate route and make up a lie that is misleading, and you tend to want to avoid having that conversation because you're not ready to talk about it yet. But even if Marsau is recognizing that he doesn't come out right away with what he wants to talk about, he will lie, he will mislead, gaslight, and all that kind of stuff. Tisha's sitting right next to him, and she's not catching it. And she should catch it. Why is your husband saying that it's okay to lie sometimes? Why is it your husband is cool with saying that it is okay to mislead you and not tell you what you want to know right away? Why is that? That should be a problem for you. Why is it so good to lie when you should just tell the truth and be honest? What are you trying to not do? What are you trying not to admit? But interesting. But she is feeling complete, and she is happy that she had this visit. And then come to find out that Maurice and Marsau lived 30 minutes away from where Destiny grew up, because she hasn't been to Pontiac since she was a kid. And her grandmother's a Jehovah's Witness. So there used to be an annual gathering for Jehovah's Witnesses. Wow, that's really crazy. And it was a nice moment between all of them. They are seeing a different side of Destiny, and I have to admit, I'm seeing a different side of Destiny as well. And this is what I've been wanting from her since she came on this show. I wanted her to be more vulnerable and transparent. I didn't want her to be on that weird shit. I didn't want her to lie and not talk about what she had going on. So talking about her mother, talking about her struggles and her relationship with her siblings, I like that. And it's making me look at her a little differently. You have a story to tell that could have made people learn to like you a bit better. And it's making me learn to be okay with her. It's making me be okay with seeing her throughout my screen, because I think she is being way more honest and transparent than everybody else. So moving on from there. So Martell and Maurice, they meet up because Martell needs a scene. Nobody wants to film with him. Maurice tells him they just came back from Pontiac as well as Detroit, from them hanging out with their family and being a support system for Destiny. Martell has been aware what's been going on with Destiny. He's happy with what took place. He's been here hanging out with Will and Ken, and he is telling Maurice about what Ken and Trish got going on. It's been a lot. Ken has moved out. He has his own apartment. The reason why he has his own apartment is because he is completely fed up with all the lies that Trish has been telling him. And then Martell, he is always ready to bring up Tisha on how she's always back to her messy ways by talking about somebody else's situation. He tells Maurice about Trish being told by Tisha that Ken has been reaching out to other girls. Crazy, right? But Ken owned up to reaching out to other women in the DMs, but it didn't go no further than just conversations. But it's still thirst trapping when you have 1 foot out the door and you're willing to have 2 foot out the door. But Martell said, well, he still loves her though. But why would you even go as far as doing that? You know what I'm saying? And Maurice said that Ken is forcing Trisha's hand by drawing this line in the sand about, well, if you don't treat me like I'm supposed to be treated, I can go ahead and find somebody else who will. To be honest though, Ken has already been on that same type of energy. He has always had an ultimatum where if you don't figure out and accept me and give me the attention that I desperately want and praise me for the effort that I have been given and being a part of this relationship, I can go ahead and find somebody else who will. But again, Ken has been free to do that. He has nothing tying him over of staying in this situation with Trish. You can't force a relationship with somebody who doesn't want to be in a relationship with you. Now, Martell said he got some type of business deal going on where he's putting a bid on the house that's about 15 acres, good for him. And then recognizing that the house he's putting a bid on, there is the project that Marisa and Kimmy wants done by Marsau, that restaurant. And asking, how's that project going? Marsau is overseeing the project and it still isn't done. Martell was like, I should have known. And it's already been a year in the making. It's still not complete. And Maurice, your brother. You know what I'm saying? Your brother takes forever to complete a project. I don't know why you would enlist him as being your contractor when he can never complete a project on time. And it's a small ass project. You would think this wouldn't take a long time to finish. And Maurice knows that it is taking too long to complete this kind of project. And Kimmy is over it. And Kimmy's been over it. Kimmy was hesitant on even wondering and asking Marsau to do this project because she knows firsthand Marsau don't complete shit. And then they have to also look at the excuses that Marsau has given them. How he's probably looking at the bigger projects that he wants to put more focus on, and at the little projects he'll get to when he gets to it. Yeah, that's not good business. If I give you a job and you're not going to give me an update, you're not going to give me an estimate about how long this job is going to take and when it's going to get completed, then I can find somebody else. And I feel like y'all should have been found somebody else once it took way longer than it needed to. Once y'all got past a certain time period that this particular project should have been done, you should cut all ties with Marsau and found somebody else. And then Maurice is really feeling the pressure on wanting Marsau to finish it, because there is a woman who is planning on leasing that building. And she can't go in and put down the money to lease it, and nor could she sign the agreement because the project isn't done. You got somebody that's waiting to put down money to pretty much lease this project for you, and you guys can't say when it's done. You guys can't tell her when she can come in and sign. And Marsau has a point. He has been a witness to Marsau taking a long time to complete a project. And it's all about timing, and Kimmy and Maurice have been aware of it, so y'all can't get mad if somebody's telling you that your brother and your brother-in-law is taking too long to complete a project. And Maurice also said that he wasn't given the proper time frame to hear that this project could take a minute or it's almost done. So he shares his frustration with Kimmy about how this should be done, and he needs to get his brother to get it moving. Well, I don't know. I don't feel bad for you, Maurice, because you've already noticed from the beginning that Marsau can never complete anything on time. We've seen it ourselves. Scott Manor still ain't done. I doubt that damn Whitehall project is barely done. Moving on. So then we have Ken and Marsau. They are at Black. It's been a minute since Ken has been over at Black. They've had a weekly gathering in a way where they had karaoke nights. But ever since him and Trish have had a lot of back and forth in their relationship, he hasn't seen them in a while. So, try to tell him what's been going on in their relationship, and that he moved out of the house, got his own apartment. Marsau feels like it don't make any sense that they have separated this early on, and it doesn't look like that it's gonna work to create a stable foundation. Well, for me though, Marsau, this is how it should have been in the beginning. They should have never moved in so quickly. He should have had his own place, and they should have went back and forth, figuring out how to be around one another without being in one space until they were ready to be in one space. Marsau recognizes Ken's efforts about how he wants to be there for Trish. He wants this relationship to work. But then hearing that he has moved out, it's like living separately isn't going to fix it. Well, that's something that you don't know how to deal with, Marsau. You've never dealt with that. Of today's time, lots of people have to live separately in order to have a relationship that works. Lots of people can't live together, and they need to have their own space in order to have their own thoughts, to be able to understand and recognize what it is that they want. So Ken isn't wrong for moving out. That is a good point. That is a good decision that he made to move out. So then he made the example of using Destiny's situation, and how when Destiny was reunited with her family, and how she wanted to have a moment with her mother, and how her mother never really held herself accountable for realizing that her actions is what led to her kids being taken away from her. And no matter how many times Destiny tried to help her, she still wanted to stay in that space of being broken. So when people are broken, you can't fix them. No matter what you do, no matter how much you put into the effort of wanting to help them fix it, it's going to stay broken. So it's a broken cup. You can't glue it back together, and it's going to stay glued. It's going to shatter. I can see how he's putting that on him and Trish's relationship, because looking at how everything transpired, y'all haven't had a good foundation. Y'all haven't had a stable moment in y'all's relationship that did not end in a toxic cycle of breakups. Y'all don't talk. Y'all go out and do your own thing. Y'all come together, and y'all really don't talk about the issues. Yeah, there's no real resolve. You know what I'm saying? And it doesn't even matter if you're going to say, I'm willing to fight. Your fight is going to be in vain. And also, he's calling them out about how they're playing games with you moving out and you hoping that she chased you. Like, that's not cool. Y'all shouldn't be playing games like this. It's like, goddamn, Marsau. Like, you is reading the fuck out of Ken. Half of me agrees with you, because I feel like Ken knew what he signed up for. He knew what he was dealing with Trish, but instead he thought that since it's him, it's Ken, he's Superman, that he could easily fix it. No. And I feel like Marsau has not been in a situation where he had to have moments where a situation is too difficult to move forward from, and you have to wonder, is this the right thing to do? Or it could be something that he has dealt with, but he doesn't want to get into much details, because we know that he has said there was a moment or two that him and Tisha could have went to that point and gotten a divorce, but we don't know what took place for that. So it's like you throwing stones, but yet you're not being honest about how it is that you have gone through those situations as well. So while recognizing that Marsau has a lot to say about his relationship, he needs to check his wife about what it is that she's saying because she's driving a wedge between me and Trish. That I don't agree with. I do not agree that Tisha is trying to draw a wedge between you and Trish. I feel like you're trying to deflect of the fact that you and her have both been playing games in your relationship. You have had a lot of back and forth, a lot of makeup moments, a lot of toxic cycles. And it is funny coming from Marsau, who don't address real issues in his relationship, who don't talk about what actually has occurred in his marriage. So the fact that he's telling you that you and Trish are playing games is kind of funny in a way. This is where Ken tells Marsau about Tisha telling Trish that I was in somebody else's DMs. And Marsau was looking shocked. He was like, wait. Tisha told Trish this? Yeah. I'm sorry, how did this conversation go again? So he is having the shock of his life. And he said, well, we don't have a household like that. Like, we don't do that. We damn sure do not talk about things like that. But we have had that done to us. Marsau, you can't say that it's been done to y'all when y'all have done it to countless others. Since season 1, you and your wife have had plenty of conversations about other people's relationships, other people's situations, just like now. So while you saying it's been done to you, it's only been done to you because you've done it to other people. But I digress. So he wants to find out the context of that conversation. And it sounds to me he is trying to do damage control. Just shut any more conversations that's going to definitely come back and haunt them. And that was the end of the episode. And knowing from the clip of what's going to take place this upcoming episode, he told Tisha, if there's anybody in this group that shouldn't be carrying bones, it's us. We are the last people to carry bones about other people's relationship. When we have been the one that have talked about we shouldn't talk about other people's relationships, we shouldn't bring what's been said about other people's relationships, we shouldn't say anything that could cause an issue in other people's relationships. We should not do anything like that, because if we do that, then it's going to come back and haunt us. Marsau has said in more ways than one that Tisha should not be butting her nose in other people's business because it can come back to them, and that means that they're going to be met with having the hard conversations that they have been avoiding all this time. I don't know when Tisha's going to get it, but hey, she needs to understand, and I don't know when she's going to get it. Don't know how many times Marsau is going to tell her, keep her fucking mouth closed. But y'all, that was pretty much it. That was it. That was all I have. Please stay tuned for my next video. I'm going to see you guys later. Bye.